Welcome troops, welcome back to the Litanah army. I'm Lit and this is Fortnite Save the World. And what I want to share with you today are just some tips and some common mistakes that people make in the game. And even now that I've just reached Twine Peaks, I've not been in Twine Peaks very long, but now that I've reached the top area, I'm finding these mistakes are still really common. But before we get started onto that, what I want you to do is actually tell me your favorite hero and also your favorite weapon. You guys know mine. You know, my favorite is First Shot Rio, who you can see in the image here, and also the Silent Spectre. Not saying they're the best, but they're absolutely my favorite, and they're my go-to things, if you like. They're my go-to heroes and my go-to weapons that I really, really like. I'm a big fan of the Tiger as well, but the Silent Spectre just pops it out for me. So I'd love to know what yours is on there. But without further ado, let's jump in and see what the most common mistakes are in Fortnite Save the World. Okay, so the first thing I would say to you is don't buy into this trade meta. You're going to see people with 130 Gravediggers. You're probably going to hear some of your friends saying, oh, I've got a 130 Nocturno, Sunbeam, and all this lot. It doesn't make any difference. The weapons scale down depending what area you are in. And also, as well, it's just a big waste of your time. As you progress through the game, you're going to be able to make these weapons. Events are going to be coming up. A lot of these weapons are really dated. The Gravedigger is still a great weapon, but there are weapons that can match it. There are weapons that can do better than it, you know, in some areas as well. It's not as good as what people make it out to be, but obviously a lot of these YouTubers or a lot of this scammer get scam meta, you know, a lot of these people, what they're actually telling you is not true. You know, a lot of it is not going to be scaled right to your power level. You're actually better off playing the game, enjoying the game, and actually going through it properly and crafting your own weapons. And that's not because you want a sense of pride. It just makes more sense, and it's just less wasting of your time. Some of these videos, you know, sometimes they're in these trade boxes for like an hour, 2 hours at a time. I watched this guy who's on screen now, Dante, do a stream for an hour and a half, nearly 2 hours the other night, and there was no point to it. He didn't come out of his home base. It was inviting people to it and taking them out of it, you know, circling the weapons really. But for the ones he was getting, that he was receiving, they were no better than the ones he were giving out. So it was kind of like, it's a little bit pointless. He did do a giveaway on there, which was really nice, and I kind of like that, you know, the giving to new players kind of thing. If somebody gives you that weapon, then great, you know, don't reject it. But the whole trade kind of system that you've got going on just isn't worth it. If you've got friends and you've got long-term friends, people like that, then yeah, you know, maybe use them. Maybe if you need some copper, or maybe you need some planks of wood or something like that, then yeah, you know, trade with friends. But try and make it people who you know, and try and make it so that you kind of just give each other things and you get in with a really good group. You know, join our Discord if you want to find people who can do that for you, and that'll just be a lot better. But play a few games with people first, and then, you know, then you can start talking about things that you need and potentially even better things that they need. Okay, so that takes us nicely onto tip number 2 then, which is learn how to farm. Now, there's 2 types really of farming. There's materials farming. In fact, you know what? There's 3. There's materials farming, where you're actually farming your material, just like wood, stone, that kind of thing. And the other type of farming is where you're going for chests and things like that. Now, this one, if we just go for this, we're just going to get the blue chest. We have got a smasher on his way in to come and get us. So let's get out of his way. But there's 3 types of farming. So you've got materials farming, where you're going to be farming things like wood, trees, things like that, stone, metal. Your other type of farming is where you're going to be farming materials such as like mechanical parts, nuts and bolts, that kind of thing. For that, you would probably use someone like Striker AC. And then there's a type of farming that I'm actually doing right now, which is chest farming, where what you actually do, you've got this keen eyes ability, and you can use that to actually find chests and loot chests and things like that. Now, when you're starting out in the game, it's very difficult to like differentiate between what these are, and because it's confusing, rather than that, you just go straight to the trading channels and think, right, well, do you know what, I need 50 malachite, so I'm just going to see if anyone can trade me the 50 malachite. It's quicker and things like that. But if you learn this, it's much better to be self-sufficient. You can see the little green square there that I've got. Let's get rid of these guys, and you can actually see through buildings and see where all the good loot is. So if we just have a look, we know there's nothing really all that great in here. So we're going to move on to the next one. Now, I'm not going to make this a farming guide because there are an absolute ton of those out there already, some which I've done myself, which you can have a look through and actually look on how to farm certain things there. But if you've got keen eyes, you can actually find loot crates, and you can find some great ones as well. Do you know, if you find any that have got a purple glow to them, then you want to be going for those. So we've got a green one there, green one down there. Ooh, got some energy cell ammo there, which we've already got. But the best thing I can say to you is just learn how to farm, learn where to find things, watch the guides that are online, and actually learn to become self-sufficient, and it will just change your game for you. If you look, my mats are all nearly up to full. I've used a lot of wood because I've been farming, and I use a lot of the platforms to actually get up onto houses, like so. So we just go up like this, look. And then I usually use the wood and things like that just to block the husks off when they're coming up. And it just means I can farm in peace without having to worry about them. But it's definitely worth it becoming self-sufficient like this. And you can just look, there's a green chest, there's a green there, there's a green there. And you can just look, there's a green below us. And you can just do it that way and learn how to farm. Super, super easy. Okay, so tip number 3 would also be, don't level your traps up in Stonewood or Plankerton or even halfway through Canny Valley. They're just not really going to be needed. It's a waste of resources. But I would still level your traps up. Now, the main ones I would actually look at leveling up would be your wall darts, your wall dynamos. Also, you're looking at gas traps as well. Ceiling zappers are also really good. And maybe something like floor spikes as well. And wooden floor spikes, you know, both types of floor spikes would be great. Try and level as many of those up. Now, it seems like a lot, but you know, when you're going through 3 zones, it's actually not that bad. You can do it alongside, but don't just focus on weapons. Don't try and get every weapon to max level. There's no point. You're going to have a loadout that you like later on. Me, for example, I use the loadout I've got down at the bottom a hell of a lot. Silent Spectre, Tiger, and Stormblade. I don't really need to level up many other weapons. Now, I level up more because I do YouTube, but really, you don't massively need to. So tip number 4 is actually where to stand when you're making your traps. So if I actually just blast these guys here, and I just coax them over to my trap tunnel. Now, this is the worst place that I could be stood right here, right now. Because if there's any sort of exploders or anything like that, they're going to get me. What I actually want to do is be like here, and let them come through so they can't see me, and actually let the traps do the work, and I'll just take out anything that gets through, if it gets through. Alright, unless things come up behind you and ruin the video for you. You know, that's the thing. But don't be stood in the wrong spot. So I see so many people actually stood here instead, and it is just a killer, like I said. So make sure that when you make traps, your trap tunnels, should I say, you stood in the right area. Do you know, there's no point trying to hog kills at the front. All you're going to do is really annoy someone. Whoever's built the trap tunnel is going to get really annoyed because this is going to get destroyed. So tip number 5 then, just while we're still here looking at the traps, tip number 5 is actually level up your traps as well. So make sure that your traps are at the right area. Very much similar to your weapons. When you're in Stonewood, take them up to Copper. When you're in Plankerton, take them up to Silver. When you're in Canny Valley, take them up to Malachite. And then when you get past Canny Valley, then you can start putting them up to, you know, even bigger and making your 130 traps or all the cool stuff that you wanted to get to. Make sure that you've got your survivors leveled as well. So really, if you look at these, I need to put a lot into these right now, which is great, but these are what are going to actually make your hero much stronger. A lot of people don't understand that this power level here is hugely influenced by this, the survivor squads. So you've actually got to make sure that you're actually getting that up there, and you actually make sure that you're keeping these guys all nicely leveled up to where they should be. So all you do to level these up is go to the actual hero, go to the actual survivor themselves, click here, upgrade and inspect, evolve them if you need to, so like so, and then just use the XP there to take them up to the next level, like so. So like if you're in Canny Valley, for example, take them all up to 30. This is my main project that I'm doing off camera at the minute, getting all these up to level 30 and 40 wherever I can. It takes a long time, but it's definitely worth it, and it'll just mean that your power level is much higher, and that is what's going to make you stronger than any 130 Gravedigger, than any 130 Nocturno. That is what's actually going to do it. Get this level up. That's huge. You know, when people say, do you know, what level are you in Fortnite Save the World? And when I hear this when a lot of young people are talking, what you will actually find is they're saying it all wrong. You know, it doesn't mean I don't know what level I am, or they'll just say, oh, I'm in Plankerton, but I've got a 130 Gravedigger, I've got a 130 Knock. Doesn't matter. You know, this is what defines you up here. This power level up here is you. This is what you are, and this is how powerful you are. So make sure you keep an eye on this number, and the best way to influence this is to actually use these survivors. Now, if I just take a survivor squad out completely, so if I just remove all these looks, if I put change and just take these out, look at how much this actually goes down. So if I do that as well, take that one out, take that one out, just taking these few survivors out is just dropping my levels absolutely massive. I'm down to level 85. Now if I put these back in, so if we do this, just pop all these back in like this, good team. And then look, that puts everything back up, and if you look, my health and my shield has actually flown up as well. It makes such a big difference. So make sure, I've got a video again on survivor squads, go and watch that if you've not seen it already, and it'll just make your whole leveling process much better, and that is how you actually measure yourself against your friends and things like that. Now that ties in nicely to the next one as well, which is don't over level your weapons. One thing that a lot of people do, they so want that Sunbeam Nocturno, or they so want to get 130 weapons, or you know, the friend's got level 82 weapons but you want a 106. It doesn't matter. Like I said, keep your weapons to the area that you are, and it's just like we said before. So Stonewood, don't take them over Copper, which is level 10. If you're in Plankerton, don't take them over Silver, which is level 20. If you're in Canny Valley, then take them up to level 30, which is Malachite. And then once you get to Twine Peaks, then you can start leveling up. You should know what you're doing by that point and getting the levels up. But if you're in the areas that I've just said, then make sure you keep the level, you know, the weapon levels in that area so you can still craft your own. One thing to work on instead, if you still want to make your weapon brilliant, is to work on perk up. You know, work on getting perk up, work on getting reperk, and work on getting things that will actually make these stats better. You know, and you can have them all leveled up before you actually get it up to a 106, and you can still craft it yourself, and it'll just be a much more efficient use of your time. Okay, the next tip is if you haven't got good guns, you can always get them from the collection book and work towards them. You can start working towards these pretty much straight away. Now, if you look on here, I did a review recently on these, and if you look, you can get things like the CheekiBreeki that's in there. Now, all you do to actually get that, let's go back to the main menu, look. You just go to Armory that's up here, then you go down to Collection Book, then you go down to Assault Rifles there. Click on the CheekiBreeki, I was going to call it a Nocturno. Click on the CheekiBreeki that you've got there, research the schematic, and if you've got enough of this Flux or you've got enough weapon designs, you can research it, and then you can actually make your own CheekiBreeki, which, you know what, it's pretty much the same as a Nocturno. Do you know, so people who are saying, oh, I don't want the CheekiBreeki, but I'll have a Nocturno, it's dumb. Do you know, the perks are slightly different, but, you know, it's not enough. It's not enough to actually, you know, make the Nocturno as valuable as what it is. You're paying for a skin, ultimately, with the Nocturno, which is not really worth it. I have got the top level, I've got the ultimate edition of the game, but again, it's only as a YouTuber, as a content creator. I definitely just wouldn't recommend it as a, you know, as a standard player or someone who's playing the game. Even if you're really passionate about Save the World, it's just not cost effective. As well, don't forget, you can get the epic version of the gun, and you can always increase that later on. If you go to an epic weapon, if I go into my schematics right now, and if we look at the bullet swarm then, so this is actually an epic, and I go upgrade, I can actually increase the rarity of this once I get 100 Flux. Now, the best place to get Flux from, I'll tend to find, is the event store, so you just click loot, event, and you can buy legendary Flux in here. Look, I've still got some to get, which I will be getting. In fact, how much have we got? 76. Let's get some of that right now. So if we grab some of that now, buy as much as what we can. Always be buying this up when it comes in the store. So there you are. So I've got 50 legendary Flux. So I'm halfway to increasing the weapon to what I want. Now, when the event store resets in 57 hours, because we've had an extension of this season, when the actual event store resets, then I can actually buy another 50. And then guess what? I can actually upgrade the rarity of a weapon. Dead simple. It's as simple as that. Some great weapons to look out for in the collection book to work towards if you want, be it the epic version or be it the legendary version. Or CheekiBreeki is really good. The Razor Blade is a fantastic weapon. That was the one over here. You've got the Terminator, which is a great weapon. Do you know what? Most of these are actually pretty good. The Deathstalker's fantastic. Love that weapon down there. If you're looking for a shotgun, if we're looking in here, you've got the Tiger Jaw, which is the main go-to one. You can get that in the epic version if you've not got the Flux to get that, or even any of these lower versions if you want, and actually work your way up to it. You've got the Bear. Absolutely fantastic shotgun, that one on there as well. We're looking at pistols. You've got a Viper that you could get, or even the Monsoon, which is great. Snipers, the go-to one's a Super Shredder, which is down here. You know, that's one of the ones that you would definitely go for. But there's just loads in there. If you want to know what they are, again, come into the Discord or just ask around. You can ask on Reddit. If you're not comfortable doing that, ask in the comments down below on this video, and we'll help you out with that. But definitely a great way to get some great starting weapons now in the current meta is through the collection book. Okay, and the last tip as well is have a logging out routine. My main logging out routine is I set off all my expeditions, everything that I can afford or everything that I can get, and I try and make these at 100%. Again, look for expedition guides or guides on expedition squads, but have a routine on the actual game. So when you actually log out, use up all your heroes in expeditions. The worst thing that can happen is, you're going to be without some heroes for a little amount of time, but you know what? Most of the time you'll do yourself pretty well. I tend to go for, when you go down to here, for example, I tend to try and go for these red boxes or these big crates. They're the two that I tend to go for, but everyone's different. Everyone's got their own kind of way of doing it. Also as well, look for the blue rarity if you've got any, the highest rarity that you can get. Now, sometimes these are hard and they'll tie up some really good heroes for a long time, so you might not want to do these. I might not want to do this power level 735 one, for example, to get this cash, but I might want to do one that's a little bit further up. This one's a 470 look, and it runs for 20 hours. I could get away with that. So when I've done playing today, or when I've done editing, or when I've done with my gameplay today, I'll send some heroes off on expeditions, and that's kind of the routine that I get into. And then when I log back in, I open up all my expeditions, buy any loot llamas that I want to get, I sort out my inventory, and then I start playing the actual game. But have a good routine, and you'll just enjoy the game a lot more by doing it that way. Okay, and a final bonus tip for you right now then is have some goals, you know, write some goals down. I tend to have 3 things written down all the time that I'm kind of working on. So for example, right now, one of the things that I'm working on is getting this Wraith up to a decent standard. So I've got the critical damage on there. So I've got 2 crit damage on there, 1 crit rating. So that does really, really good damage right now, and I've not built that up yet. I need to get some element on there. That's one of the things that I'm going to do. So if I'm going to go modify perks, I go there, look, and if I want to put elemental damage in, I need another 500 reperk. So I can do that with 5 encampment missions. So 5 encampment missions is one of the things I'm going to do, and then I want to level all these up again to get the rarity up on them, and I've got something to work towards. So when I log in to play Fortnite Save the World, it's not boring for me because I'm working towards something and I'm building something up. And I've got 3 little projects like that. One is about a hero, one's about a weapon, and then my other one's about my quest line as well. But have something like that so you can actually tick the goals off as you're doing them as well, and it'll just make the game a ton more fun. Alright then guys, I hope that's been helpful. I've tried to keep it as short as possible. Again, when I edit these, I never know how long or short they're going to be. The recording could be an hour long, but I might only use like 10-12 minutes of footage, so I'm not sure how long the video is going to be. Hopefully this one's pretty short, fingers crossed. But you know, do these things. I'm still seeing a lot of these errors that are actually in Twine Peaks, that are actually in high-end Canny Valley. People still make these mistakes even when they get to the higher levels. But you know, play the game in this way. Actually look at the things that I've said in there and actually play the game by them kind of ways, and you'll actually have a much fun time. You know, your experience in Fortnite Save the World will just be a much nicer one, and you'll enjoy logging in. You know, it won't be a chore to log in. It won't be a case, you know, of twitching, thinking, oh my god, is someone going to scam me today? They're not. Can I make my own weapons? You're going to feel much more powerful, because when people say, you know, oh, can you trade me a 130 CheekiBreeki, for example, you'll be able to make one, and that's the way that the game should be played. And if you've not got a 130 CheekiBreeki in your armory at the time or in your backpack, just make one, because you're going to be that good by the time you've done. Alright then guys, massive thanks for watching. Don't forget, like we said at the start of the video, let me know who your favourite hero is and what your best weapon is in the game. I would love to know, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. If there's anything you want to add down below as well, I would love that in there. Just something that, you know, if you think something that I've missed or mistakes you see that people make that you want to add to the bottom of this, then please let me know, and maybe we'll include that in a future video as well. But a massive thanks for watching guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care now.